Mount Hiko, rising 1,199 meters above sea level in the southern part of the Fukuoka region, Kyushu, Japan, is one of Japan's three major mountains for ascetic practice, along with Mount Haguro in the Yamagata region and the mountains of Ōmine in the Nara region. In the mountain's most prosperous period, the Edo era, it was a sacred mountain that had 42,000 parishioners in the Kyushu area, and it is said that there were 3,000 Hikosan priests and 800 priests' quarters. The kanji notation of Hikosan changed in 819 and 729 by imperial decree. As you can see from the ancient name, Mountain of the Child of the Sun, it has long been connected to sun belief. Hikosan is made up of three mountains: the north peak, Kitadake, the middle peak, Nakadake, and the south peak, Minamidake. The north peak, which enshrines Ami no Oshiho, Mimi no Mikoto, child of the sun goddess Amaterasu, is thought to be the highest in rank. People of the past were cultural exchanging on a scale beyond our imagination using the sea. The sea connected with the mountains via rivers, and the mountains were places that received different cultures. Shugendo, in fact, consists of a combination of various cultural ideas such as mountain belief, Shinto, Buddhism, Daoism, five elements thought, astronomy, and pharmacology. The Shugendo way of thinking, which mixes beliefs, is thus referred to as the amalgamation of Buddhas and gods. This learning with respect was the ancient Japanese wisdom of coexisting and prospering while maintaining independence. The most important matter in Shugendo is the idea that nature itself is a god or Buddha. Shugendo practitioners received the power of the gods and Buddhas by becoming one with nature, bestowed wisdom to the people of the village, appeased conflicts, and instructed on the importance of people and nature coexisting in harmony. In Shugendo, there are three characteristic ways of thinking. 1. Death, mimicry, and regeneration. The concept of, after a temporary death, being reborn after receiving a new life from the mountain. 2. Oral tradition. There was a rule that the tradition should not be left in written form. 3. This worldly benefits. Living here and now, not in the future. The teaching of loving the world in front of you as long as you live. At Hikosan, the oldest three-dimensional map in Japan remains. Yamabushi developed a consciousness of three-dimensional space through such things as mine-ile, the ascetic practice of walking a vast area and observing the natural environment. Before the Meiji era, 4 bounded realms existed at Hikosan, and they were called the Four Lands Bounded Realm. The bounded realms corresponded with stages of spiritual growth, and there were abstinences in each. A. Jo Jakodo, the highest level. Realm of the Buddhas, the absolute eternal pure land that only Yamabushi, who experienced 15 peak entries, can enter. There is a primeval beech forest. B. Jippon Shugendo, the second level, realm of the Bodhisattvas, the place to train and acquire spiritual powers. Building houses for people to reside in is prohibited. 1,000 cedar trees afforested by Yamabushi. C. Hobenjodo, the third level. Temporary Pure Land. Yamabushi dwellings called Bo existed here. D. Bonshodogodo, the fourth level. Ordinary people can live here. Taking of life and cultivation of the 5 grains was prohibited. This kind of idea of barriers was connected to the protection of mountain nature, especially water. Hikosan, said to be the god of water dividing, Mekuma Lishin, offered the blessing of water to villagers. Hikosan, a protected and prohibited place, maintained a high degree of autonomy and even had its own regional currency. It was supported by the faith of the villagers and gratitude for water. Hollow cavities in rock megaliths called caves, kutsu, are important at Hikosan. They emulate the 49 halls that the Bodhisattva Maitreya preached in, and in each of the 49 caves of Hikosan, a protective child, doji, is placed. The 531 mountain opening theory of Hikosan begins from the Hanya cave. There is miraculous water said to never be muddied inside the cave, and it is said that when the water becomes muddy, a natural disaster will occur. There is an approximately 1,200-year-old cedar tree called Onisugi at Mount Hiko's Minamadeki, said to be the oldest planted cedar in Kyushu. Environmental maintenance and tree planting are important works of the Yamabushi, and there is a plantation forest called the 1,000 Cedars, Senbonsugi, near the mountaintop. The Saito Gomataki is the characteristic prayer rite of the Yamabushi. They perform courtesies to the gods while roasting cedar sticks. The process of cutting the trees with axes, stacking them on the soil, setting them on fire, and putting them out with water reflects the mountain work of the Yamabushi and 5 elements: wood, fire, soil, metal, and water. Yamabushi consider smoke itself to be a manifestation of Fudo Myo-o, who rises from the fire altar and forged from burning cedar sticks and leaves. Fudo Myo-o exists to guide and protect the ascetics. Hikosan's main shrine building, Ho-heidan, was built in 740 and rebuilt in 1616. It has beautiful shingle roofing. On the gate made of bronze, an imperial scroll by the brush of Emperor Reagan is hoisted. They are both nationally designated important cultural assets. In Shugendo, there are several things that became the progenitors of Japanese art and culture. The kagura and sumo were one of the aesthetic practices of Shugendo. Tea was produced by Yamabushi and distributed in prayer rites as an elixir of eternal longevity. During the Muromachi period, Seishu returned from the Ming dynasty of China, made a garden at Hikosan, and it is said that he was fond of tea. Hikosan, as a place where literati resided, was endowed with the function of exchanging and transmitting arts and culture. Because of the anti-Buddhist movement called Hai Butsukshaku and Meiji's government's order to abolish Shugendo, cultural assets were destroyed. Most Yamabushi descended from the mountain, and Shugendo received a devastating blow. Currently, a revival of ceremonies dedicated to the gods is underway, with the Hikosan shrine at the center. January, Hashiramatsu. Prior to the Meiji period, as one part of the Matsu New Year festival, ascetics climbed up on a pine pillar and conducted heikuri, the cutting of paper streamers. At present, at the beginning of the year, a large pillar is raised and prayers offered to the Hikosan avatar, Gon-gen, for the fulfillment of all things. February, Oshio Itori. In Shugendo, the connection between mountains and sea cannot be separated. This is a ritual that purifies the inner mountains with salt water that is traveled about 36 kilometers from the shrine, Jingu, to the Ubeno Futukoro Cave, cave of the Old Woman's Bosom, of the Halaikawa estuary, and carried back. Shugendo is connected to the sea as well as a mountain. March, Ontasai. Shinto priesthoods dance, mimicking a method of the rice-growing agriculture. This is a ceremony praying for a staple grain's abundant harvest. April, Ginkosai. Descending the roughly 800 stone steps from the Hoheiden to the copper gate carrying a portable shrine holding the 3 bodies of the gods of the 3 peaks. It is a festival that offers thanks to water and praise for abundant crops. November, Gomataki. In 2016, to commemorate the 400th anniversary of the rebuilding of the Hoheiden, a combinatory Buddha god, Gomataki, that had been discontinued since the Meiji period was held. Priests from Enlakuji of Mount Hiei, shrine priest Takachio Hirotoshi, and Shugendo practitioners performed the rite. Kamakura period icons of the true body of the Hiko, three-place avatar, and Furo Myo-o image that had been damaged by the anti-Buddhist movement of the Meiji period were restored to their original shapes and enshrined in the altar. In 2017, Hikosan became a nationally designated historic site. In the report, the state evaluated Hikoshiyama as a ruin of mountain beliefs representing Japan, important for thinking about our country's Shugendo, Buddhism, and Shinto. In the future, the value of Hikosan and the Shugendo culture will be reassessed and will indicate the relationship that nature and humans should have. Grassroots efforts to maintain the inner mountain and preserve cultural properties are beginning. The power of tasks, Gan-riki, in Shugendo begins with the power of imagination in regard to invisible things, such as experience and observation within nature, the chain of life, and the work of nature. While walking Hikosan, I hope you will gain a new imagination for nature and yourself, and also things other than yourself.